Everyone, thank you for coming. We are really excited to have you here today. My name is Ricardo. I'm a librarian with Sacramento Public Library, where books are just the beginning. Thank you for joining us today for job application and resume writing skills for teens, presented in partnership with Sacramento Works. We are super excited for this program and also to have Jessica Medina from Sacramento Works with us here today. This is the first of a two-part series for teens that are looking to practice their job preparation skills. After this presentation, we'll have time for questions and answers, but please feel free to use the chat anytime to post your questions. Finally, this program is being recorded and will be shared on our YouTube channel in case you would like to refer to it later. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Jessica. Jessica, thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Ricardo, for having me today. I am very excited to be here virtually with all of you who have registered for this workshop. As Ricardo has said, my name is Jessica Medina, and I am a workforce development planner with SETA Sacramento Works here in Sacramento County, and I am going to be leading us in today's workshop. If you guys can just give me 1 second, I'm going to go ahead and get started on our icebreaker activity. I hope you guys enjoy this activity. It is going to be a trivia-based activity. The instructions for engagement are to go ahead and view the presentation and go ahead and put your guess, whether it's answer 1, 2, 3, or 4, into the chat box. So I'm going to go ahead and share here briefly. We are going to be engaging in this icebreaker, a virtual game called Their First Job. And this is where we're going to explore different personalities that are part of pop culture and kind of take a guess at what their first job was. So this is a game that I like to play just to kind of start off with something interactive. So please go ahead and I welcome you to engage to participate in this activity by either typing the numbers 1, 2, or 3, or 4 in the chat box. So let's go ahead and get started. All righty, everybody. So if you look here at the shared presentation, we have J. Cole, who is an artist. And if you guys can all just go ahead and take a moment to guess what J. Cole's first job was. You can go ahead and just drop a 1, a 2, a 3, or 4 in the chat box. All right, we got some guesses coming in. All right, I see some 2s out there, some 3s. All right, perfect. All right, thank you. Let's go ahead and continue on to the next individual. Oprah Winfrey, a well-known TV personality, reporter, host. We have a few different options here. We have answer 1 being babysitter, option 2, ballet attendant, option 3, dog walker, and option 4, grocery clerk. Please go ahead and take your guess in the chat box. We got 4 different options to select from. All right. All right, thank you guys for participating. All right, moving on to the next person. We have Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. This is a politician. We have 4 different options for her first job. So we got answer 1 being an intern for a U.S. Senator's office. Answer 2, a Big Lots associate. Answer 3, a Burger King cashier. And answer 4, a Best Buy associate. So go ahead, take a few seconds, drop your guesses in the chat box. All right, looks like 3 is a popular choice for this one. Thank you all for participating. All right, giving you guys all 1 more second and moving on to the next one. All right, Beyonce, a well-known singer. We have 4 different options. The first one being an after-school program assistant. The second one being a car wash attendant. Third being a salon floor sweeper. And 4 being a Dollar Tree associate. Go ahead and take your guess in the chat box. All right. All right, we know that we see that there's 1 popular answer there. We'll see shortly if all you were right. All right, another well-known individual, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, what do you think his first job was? Answer 1 is option is Best Buy associate. Option 2 is Wendy's cashier. Option 3 is Hewlett Packard intern. And option 4 is Sears cashier. Go ahead and take your guess. All right, see some number 1s in here. See some number 3s as well. All right. Gonna go ahead and let you guys one more second, and then we're gonna move on to the next individual. All right, Miss Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj. We got 4 options. Answer 1, Red Lobster waitress. Option 2, Wendy's cashier. Option 3, Macy's counter salesperson. Option 4, MAC makeup artist. Go ahead and take your guess as to what was Nicki Minaj's first job. All right, we got some numbers coming in. Thank you for participating. All right, and we're moving on to the last individual. Last but not least, we have Mr. Kanye West, a well-known artist as well, musical artist. We got 4 different options. Number 1, Gap Inc. brand associate. Number 2, gas station attendant. Number 3, mailroom clerk. And number 4, college library assistant. Go ahead and take a few seconds to put your guess in there. I see those numbers coming in. Thank you guys for participating. Hope you guys are enjoying this little icebreaker. All right, everybody. Looks like we got all our numbers in. Let's go ahead and find out. Let's go ahead and move on to the answers. All right, we had J. Cole. J. Cole's first job was a skating rink attendant. He was a skating rink attendant from the ages of 14 to 19. Miss Oprah Winfrey was a clerk at a grocery store. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez's first job was as an intern for U.S. Senator Ted Kennedy. Beyonce was a floor sweeper at her mom's salon. Steve Jobs' first job was as an intern at the age of 13 for Hewlett-Packard, also known as HP. Nicki Minaj was a Red Lobster waitress, and Mr. Kanye West was a Gap Inc. brand associate. So he started in retail. That was his first job. All right, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed that little activity. We are going to go ahead and transition over to other slides, the actual presentation for today, and get started learning about resumes and applications online. As Ricardo shared earlier, we definitely welcome questions. So you can go ahead and put those in the chat as we go if you think that you're going to forget them. If not, you can go ahead and save them for the end. Let me go ahead and get started with the next share, and we will begin. All right, the next share. Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into today's topic. So the Icebreaker Activity showed us and displayed quite a few different well-known individuals who are currently, known in pop culture. And I think a lot of young people, such as you all, are very familiar with them, given that they have a certain skill set and that they have mastered that skill set. And so they're known for a very particular type of skill set. So we're going to go ahead and start today's workshop talking about skills. So let's go ahead and explore skills, and we're going to dive deeper into what are skills, because there's actually 2 different types of skills that individuals can display on their resume, those being hard skills that are technical skills, and also soft skills that are more people-oriented social interaction skills. So let's go ahead and just watch a quick video here and learn exactly what some of those skills are.
Skills. Clearly, this isn't one of mine. But we all have skills that employers want. In particular, they want employees who have the right mix of soft skills and hard skills. Hard skills are technical knowledge or training gained through any life experience in your career or education. For example, if you've worked in food service or retail, you might know how to use a point-of-sale system.
O si estudiaste algún otro idioma, podrías hablarlo perfectamente.
Soft skills, on the other hand, are abilities that can be applied in any job. Think people skills or social skills. These are skills like leadership, lunchtime, problem solving, and organization. Still not sure what skills to list? Here are 10 of the most common. Remember, employers pay special attention to the skills on your resume. Well, I think that's everything. Remember that the smallest moves are sometimes the smartest. Like and subscribe for more tips.
Alrighty, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. That was just a short little video detailing what I think is really important for young people, young adults, and everybody who is in the business of having to write a resume for a position that they really want, need to know, and that is the difference between the hard skills and the soft skills. We saw some examples noted in the video, but here I just wanted to go ahead and kind of further solidify those examples so that we really have a clear understanding of where certain skills would fall. So typically, if you learn something in a classroom setting or through an experience such as an internship or a volunteering experience, and it's something that can be quantified, typically that's going to be a hard skill. So we have, a degree that you receive either from high school or if you go to any kind of post-secondary education program, any type of certificate that you get for a training, such as perhaps a typing certificate or a certificate of completion for a very specific training, that would be something that can be a hard skill. Um, Technical skills, computer programming, graphic design, um, music making, beat mixing, anything that requires technical knowledge and that you probably had to go through some courses or classes to learn about, that's going to be the hard skill. Those soft skills that have to do with how you interact with your fellow coworkers, how you interact with your superiors, your leadership team, and also with guests or clients at any particular business or organization. Those are soft skills, and it's very important for you to be able to identify what are the hard skills that you possess, the hard skills that you're currently developing, and also the soft skills that you possess, and those that you are further developing and further solidifying. So here we have a moment. Sorry. Here we have a slide. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys just about, let's say, 15 seconds to just go ahead and take a look and go ahead and note some of these skills that you guys have. Everybody has some sort of social skills. Everybody has some sort of language skills. So if you guys can all just go ahead and take a moment, get in closer to the screen, go ahead and maybe if you have your phone out or if you have a notepad by you, go ahead and just not jot down some of these skills that you possess. Um, and make note of them so that they can be something that you include on your resume. Um, I know that given the fact that we go through formal education in our high school years and also in our college years, I think a lot of us would possess the ability to speak to groups of people and interacting with people who we don't know, right? We're always doing that in a different context, whether at school or in different social settings. So definitely, if you're having a challenging time trying to pick which one of these social skills you believe that you possess, go ahead and jot those down. Speaking to groups of people and talking with people you don't know. And then for language skills, we definitely learn how to use correct grammar and proper punctuation through our schooling. So if you're having a little bit of a tough choice there, go ahead and make those selections there. Math and technology skills. Take a moment to think about what you've done this past year that you've been in quarantine and you've been doing school digitally, or you've been interacting and socializing in the online world. Go ahead and take a note of different things that you know how to do. For example, use and operate a teleconference platform such as Zoom. You know how to do that. That's something that you can note on your resume. Being able to type at a certain speed, being able to use different software, like if you're familiar with Google Docs or the Google Drive and the different applications in the Google Drive, that would be a skill worth noting on your resume. So go ahead and just take a moment. Go ahead and jot that down. Once again, you could take notes on your phone, or if you have a notebook by you, go ahead and jot it down. All right, I hope you jotted a few points down. Let's go ahead and continue on. We're going to go ahead and explore the different types of resumes. Yes, you heard that correctly. There are different types of resumes. And this is something that for a lot of young people, a lot of teens, it's not common knowledge. And But it is something that's important to note because you want to go ahead and make sure that you are writing a resume for a position that you're hoping to apply to in a resume format that is most conducive to the type of work that you're hoping to land. So we're going to go ahead and explore first the chronological resume, and this is a reverse chronological resume that is a good option for people with all levels of work experience. Particularly, this might be a format that may be best suited if you're an individual or a teen who's looking for a job in a field which you might have already some experience in. So say, for example, if you were an individual who you've been involved in sports, for the majority of your life. When you were in elementary school, you played sports. When you were in middle school, you played sports. And then maybe when you were in high school, you also played sports. And you're wanting to apply to perhaps a coaching position at one of the, now that you're a little bit older, maybe a coaching position, maybe at the middle school, and it's a position that allows teens being able to use a chronological resume to kind of detail your experience that you have with sports, going backwards in time. That would be something that you can do on a chronological resume. If you're an individual applying for, if you happen to be applying to a position in a traditional industry such as accounting or finance or engineering, using the chronological format to really show the time of your experiences might be beneficial as well. So for the next resume type, we have the functional resume. And the functional resume format is good with people of high levels of work experience. It may be something that is well suited for individuals who are hoping to make a career change to a particular field, or have large gaps of large gaps of work in their work history, meaning that they've been out of out of work for some time, either for health reasons or familial reasons, or perhaps don't have a lot of experience to begin with. So the functional resume has a big focus on the skills of an individual. It shortly details their experience, but the emphasis is placed more on the skills than the actual experiences that they've had. And so this, because of that, because it's more focused on the skills than the actual experiences, this is a format that is well suited for people who are applying for more creative industries, such as design roles or computer programming roles or other roles that require different creativity, the use of different creative skills. All right. And last but not least, we have the combination resume. So the combination resume is a resume that takes a little bit from each of the previous styles. It takes a little bit from the chronological format and also a little bit from the functional. So in a combination resume, there is great detail in both the experience of the individual and also great detail in the skills of an individual. So it is well suited for people hoping to make a career change with skills and work history that can apply across different industries, not solely focused on one type of industry. It's also good for people with some employment gaps or people who have a wide range of sets, because you just have a lot of room to detail. Once again, you're going to be going into a lot of detail about the skills and a lot of details about the experience. So oftentimes, what we see the most is a combination resume, just because it really allows you to really paint the broadest picture of your skill set and what you have to offer a company, and what you have to bring to any particular um, position that you're applying to. So keep that in mind. Please note that you will have to update or customize your resume for a variety of different positions. So your resume is a living working document. It's not something that you draft once and then you kind of use it over and over again. That's not the purpose of a resume, and it's actually something that's living. So every time that you're going to apply for a different position, you want to go ahead and review that resume, maybe switch it up a little bit, maybe move some experiences around, maybe emphasize certain skills on one resume over another one, depending on where and who you are going to submit it to. So you should keep that in mind. So if you were going to apply to a role in the restaurant industry, you're going to want to emphasize experiences when you've been around food or you've been kind of being of service to others. And if you're going to apply for, say, an after-school recreation aid position, you're going to want to note experiences where you had more one-on-one experiences with individuals, you offer more one-on-one service, and maybe you were doing something that was more team oriented in the sense of being related to academic pursuits. So just something to note um, for those of you guys who perhaps don't have resumes yet and are going to start drafting them, or those of you who have resumes and are looking for ways to edit that as you guys seek out positions and apply to different positions. So just to kind of further solidify and make sure that we have a clear understanding of the different types of resumes that there are, here we have an example of a chronological resume. So as you can see here, we do have skills and abilities listed, but there's not a lot of detail about these skills and abilities. But if you look at the experiences, we have 2 experiences, the more recent one being on top and the less recent one being at the bottom. And here we have more detail. We don't just have 2 worded phrases. We have phrases that have multiple words in them as opposed to the skills. So here we have more emphasis, more details on the experience as opposed to the skills. So this is a chronological resume. Please keep in mind that after today's presentation, you will be receiving these slides. So if there's, if you want to go ahead and, reference these in the future, you definitely can. You will be receiving it in email. All right, so let's move on to the second type. So here we have a functional resume. So if you can see here, we have a lot of skills listed. And this time, as opposed to the first one that we just looked at, the first example, we have a lot of details about the skills. We've even categorized them into different categories. So we categorize them into customer service, technical skills, and interpersonal and teamwork skills. And then we didn't just write one-word phrases or one-word descriptive words, we actually provided great detail about them. So here you can see that the emphasis is more on the skills as opposed to the work history. Under the work history, we kind of just listed where we had the experiences and when, but we didn't offer much details. So we didn't do action phrases for those because this is a functional resume emphasizing the skills that we possess. All right. Let's move on to the third one. Once again, I just really want to show these to you all to solidify the differences between the 3. Here we have a combination resume, and we have details in both areas, both in the skills and also in the experiences. So if you can see here on the skills, we categorize them. So you can see that they're bolded, the different categories of the skills, and then we provided details about them. We do have some action phrases here describing the skills because we wanted to emphasize those. And under the experiences, we have also action phrases detailing those as well. One thing you want to keep in mind that we're going to go over later is what an action phrase is. Okay, so you guys have probably heard me say that 2 or 3 times now. Action phrases, action phrases. And we're going to go over that in a little bit. But here, just want to make sure that it's clear that there's great detail in the skills and also great detail in the experiences. All right, so here we're going to go ahead and just start really jotting some stuff down in regards to your particular resume. It's critical that you know what you want to put on your resume. So you need to go ahead and start with your objective. An objective is a short statement that goes at the top of your resume detailing kind of what the goal is for that resume, why you took the time to draft that resume in preparation for submitting it to any particular company or agency. It can be something as short as to obtain a brand associate position with Old Navy if you're applying for a retail position at an Old Navy store. something as you know, as detailed as to obtain a sales associate position with Target, in a role where I can really develop my leadership skills. So anything along those lines, it's okay to mention the position that you're applying for in the objective, um, because it could be helpful to the hiring managers who are going through different resumes to know exactly which position you're applying for, because they could have a couple positions open. And then second, you want to go ahead and note those skills. We did that a little bit earlier. It's really important that you list at least a minimum of 6 skills on your resume. You don't want to have too little skills. You want to have a good balance of between 6 skills listed and 10 skills listed on your resume. And then you want to go ahead and note your education. Um, you want to go ahead and list all forms of learning that are relevant to the position that you're applying for. A lot of times, teens pose the question like, "Hey, I'm still in high school. Like, do I need to note down the high school that I go to if I haven't graduated yet? How do I write it down if I haven't graduated yet?" And that is a common question that I receive, and it's a valid one. So we're going to go ahead and discuss that. So if you happen to be in high school, say you attend let's just go with Foothill High School because that's my alma mater. Say you go to Foothill High School in Foothill Farms, and you are a junior there, and you are going to be graduating next year in May of 2022. So the way that you would note that, you would list that, is you would list Foothill High School, Sacramento, California, and then you're gonna go down one line. You're gonna press enter, go down one line. Then you're gonna type in high school diploma. You're gonna tab it all the way to the right, and you're gonna put in expected May 2022. So that is how you express that you are a student. You're still in school. You're pursuing a certificate of diploma, the type of diploma it is. In this case, it's a high school diploma, and when you expect to receive that. The same if you were a college student, and you were, say, attending American River College, you would follow that same format. American River College, Sacramento, California, Associates of Science, nursing, expected May 2024. So that's how you would denote your education. Um, and it is important to know your education on your resume, because a lot of times different roles require certain levels of education or experience, and education is important. So you want to make sure that you do note that on your resume. Typically, when you have some kind of post-secondary education credential, or a lot of times a 4-year degree from a 4-year university, you want to go ahead and note your education towards the top of your resume. But when you're a teen and you're still in high school, and you're going through that process of finishing your secondary education, it is typical for high schoolers, and individuals who have their high school diplomas to note their education towards the bottom of their resume. But it's one of those things that it kind of has changed with time. There was a common practice of putting it at the bottom if you had a high school diploma, and putting it higher if you had a 4-year degree. But it is something that is debated, and so you can go ahead and make your choice. But there are some, that is how it's been most recently in the past. All right. And then most importantly, you want to go ahead and note any work experience. For teens, especially for those teens, between the age groups of, 13, 14, and 17. This is something that I find that, youth have a little bit of a challenge thinking like, hey, I've never had a job before. Like, I have chores, and yeah, sometimes I do stuff at school, but like, I've never had a job. What do I know on my resume? I have no work experience. Well, this is where you want to get really creative, because if you think about it, We all have experiences. We all have experiences that we have in school, that we have through our social networks and through our social connections, where we develop skills and we learn things. We're always learning something every day, either at school or at home, or when we're congregating with our social networks, we're always learning. And so you do have experience. You do have experience, and you do have experiences worth noting on your resume. So you want to get creative. If you have ever babysat a child for your aunt or mowed your neighbor's lawn, then you have performed childcare and yard maintenance jobs. When describing your work experience, your language and your word choice is very important. It's highly recommended that you use highly descriptive language to help your resume shine. So you want to go ahead and choose your words wisely. You always want to begin your job descriptions with action words. So action words are verbs, literally verbs. Remember how we learned in school what a noun is, what a verb is, what a preposition is? You want to go ahead and start those action phrases with verbs, and proceed with giving details on who, what, when, where, why, and how. So for example, if you have experience, like I said earlier, babysitting maybe your little cousins for your aunt, instead of writing something short and simple like babysat child, which is factual, correct? You want to go ahead and write instead provided after school supervision and care for a 5-year-old child twice per week. So the latter phrase, the bottom phrase, it's more descriptive. It's longer. It's more descriptive. It tells me that you babysat, but it tells me who you babysat. It tells me when you babysat. And it tells me the frequency. So it really just paints a better picture. I have a better picture in my mind of you babysitting, because I know that you did it twice per week. It wasn't a newborn. It wasn't a middle schooler. It was a 5-year-old child, and you did it twice per week. So that is a solid action phrase with highly descriptive language, and those are the type of action phrases that you want to aim to have on your resume. Um, when you are noting your work experience on your resume, you want to go ahead and always include the following, as we see here at the bottom of the slide. You want to go ahead and put your job title. When you are noting experiences that are experiences that you've done at school or through family or through volunteering, I often get that question, like, I didn't have an official title, like I wasn't my job, they didn't pay me, like what do I put as a title? And that is a great question. You want to go ahead and get creative. So if you have done babysitting, you want to go ahead and put babysitter or childcare provider, because you were babysitting and you were providing childcare. If you were a volunteer, it's completely okay to put the name of the organization or the title of the event and then write volunteer. So, for example, if you've ever volunteered at the Run to Feed the Hungry, with the Sacramento Food Bank here in Sacramento, you can go ahead and put Sacramento Food Bank volunteer, or you can put a Run to Feed the Hungry volunteer. If you've ever worked the snack bar at your high school during any kind of sporting season, and you've been the cashier, you can go ahead and put snack bar cashier, snack bar volunteer, so forth. So just try to use a title that is descriptive also of what you did in that experience. You want to go ahead and note the official company name that with which you kind of had the experience, whether it was you volunteered there or just kind of the agency, the company, the organization that was associated with that volunteer event or with that experience. So for the babysitting example, you might want to note the last name of the family, and then if it happened at their residence, note their residence. So if you have if you're neighbors with the Jones family, and when the Jones parents go out for dates, that twice a month you're the babysitter for the young ones. You can go ahead and note the company as the Jones residence, and go ahead and give a location for the organization or the company, and the dates of experience. So you want to go ahead and note the month and the year to another month and year date. So for example, January of 2021 to July of 2021. You want to go ahead and detail the duration. If it was a one-time event, you can just go ahead and put the month and year date that the event or the experience took place. So let's go ahead and move on. Um, you want to also keep in mind that a resume should be 1 page long. A lot of times, we do have a lot of experiences and we want to go ahead and jot them down and, tell everybody about everything that we've done. But we want to go ahead and make sure that we include the experiences that are most relevant to the position that we are applying to and that we get everything on 1 page. You have to keep in mind and remember that the people that are going to be viewing your resume, hiring managers, they receive a lot of applications, a lot of resumes, and they want to be able to look at your 1 pager and assess your skills and have a good picture from just looking at 1 page, because having to look at multiple pages, it is time consuming. So it is the practice, very common practice, and it's the standard in resume writing that your resume should be just 1 page. As you advance in your career and you get a lot more experience under your belt, for certain types of roles that may be, advanced roles in management or in leadership, you may have to have a resume that's 1.5 pages. But that is something that comes with time. And as a young person, as a teen, you definitely should be ensuring to follow that standard of having your resume just be 1 page. Note that a references page is not part of the resume. You can note references are available upon request on your resume, but your references page is a whole separate page. And it should be filled with individuals who are references, to who know you in some capacity outside of some capacity that it's not a familial relationship. So if it's family, they cannot serve as your reference. Oftentimes, the individuals who teenagers or teens asked to serve as references are sports coaches, teachers. If you're affiliated with any kind of social organization or nonprofit outside of school, or perhaps your family has a place of faith, and where you volunteer, asking individuals at leadership at those organizations can also be one way to secure references for your application. It is highly recommended that when you are making your references page, that you list your references' work address or their home address, their primary phone number, and their email, so that if a manager were to contact them to get a recommendation about your professionalism and about your experience, that they can reach this reference. It is also highly recommended that you draft and save your resume as a Word document, either in the Microsoft Office Word application or in the Google Docs, because you got to remember, you're going to be editing that document. It's going to be a live document, so you want to be able to have access to it rather quickly. But also have the option to save it as a PDF, because saving a resume as a PDF and sending or submitting a resume as a PDF is seemingly the most common format to submit a resume in. So keep that in mind as you draft and edit your resumes going forward. Here we have some sample objectives. I'm not going to go over these in detail because you are going to be getting this presentation. And here we also have some action phrases for resumes. So we have just a few listed here, so that when you're drafting them, if you want to, if you're having trouble thinking of verbs to use on your resume and your action phrases, this will serve to give you some ideas. And there's also there's also a document linked to this that has a lot. I'm talking like over 100 resume action verbs that will help you edit your resume. All right, so we're going to go ahead and skip this vignette for right now because I'm not sure that we have time for it. We're going to go ahead and go on to the second part of the presentation, which is online job search. This is something that is important to note you need to do safely. We're going to talk about some tips and tricks for looking for jobs online and making sure that they're verified roles because, you know, when you're online, you need to make sure that you're safe. So we're going to be talking about the modern mode of online job search. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So where do you find job postings? In the past, job postings were advertised via radio ads, newspapers, and in-store signs. Job applications were paper forms individuals would fill out with a pen and submit to a business in person. With the advancement of technology, many businesses have moved their job postings and applications online. Many established businesses have a careers or a join us section on their official business website. Typically, these sections are all the way at the bottom or in the further section of their websites. So I remember when I first started in the workforce development industry, I was working at a career center and we actually had a job application section for teens. And this was a section where we had a cabinet and we used to have paper applications for businesses that hired teens. So those under 18. And teens would come in and pick up their applications. I remember Baskin Robbins was a very popular one. Teens would come in with their parents after school, pick up the applications, and then go apply. That is something that rarely happens in paper format now. And I don't know that it happened this last year with COVID. I think everything transitioned to online. If it hadn't already done so, I think in the last decade, it's definitely transitioned to online. And of course, as we know, I mean, we're online right now. So the internet is the fastest, cheapest, and most user-friendly platform to find jobs today. There are some sites that we're going to be exploring where you can go ahead and, as a young person, as a teen, as a young adult, go ahead and, you know, visit to search for some jobs. So we're going to go ahead and start out with it looks like, actually, I do apologize. It looks like we're missing one slide, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it briefly before moving on to the second one. CalJobs. CalJobs is a website. It is a government website of the state of California, and it actually has a really cool feature where a lot of employers can go ahead and post different jobs up there with the full descriptions, and you can actually navigate them on the CalJobs website, create a profile on CalJobs, post your resume on CalJobs, and then apply through the CalJobs website. So if this is something that, you know, as if we have any 17-year-olds who are going to be turning 18 and are hoping to, explore some jobs or roles within the public sector here locally in Sacramento, CalJobs would be a site that, might be something might be a site where you want to get started with your search. All right, so let's move on to the second one, Craigslist. This one has some tips for operating on the site as a teen, and we're going to go ahead and go over it. I will say that when I was in college and I needed a summer job, Craigslist was a public forum that I would go to see who was hiring for the summer and apply. Given that it is a public forum, you want to go ahead and make sure that you're taking certain safety precautions because it is a public forum where anybody can essentially post anything. So it's important to verify information on the website. For your safety as a teen, as a young adult, it is recommended that you do not list your complete address on any resume you submit via the Craigslist website. So for example, if your address, instead of listing your address as a complete address, such as 1234 Sacramento Avenue, Sacramento, California 95814. You want to go ahead and list your address as just Sacramento, California. If you want to throw the zip code in there, that's fine. But definitely just a tip for safety, because like I said, it's public. Anybody can post on there, and that is, a reason to take precaution. But it also means that there's a lot of opportunities that are on there, and it is a good site. You just want to go ahead and be a little bit cautious with the disclosures that you make on a public forum, and that goes for teens and for young adults alike. You can utilize keywords to narrow results. So I know when I would go on the platform, I would search certain keywords such as open interviews or part-time or cashier or entry level, and the postings that had those keywords in them would pop up, and then that would be my way to filter for any certain type of position that I was looking for. Once again, due to its public nature as a public forum website, it's best to verify job postings on companies' official websites. This can be done by Googling the company name and searching the official company's website career section. So if I ever saw like if I saw like open interviews for Baskin Robbins or Subway, I would just go on the official Subway website and make sure that they actually had jobs posted for the location where the open interviews were going to be taking place. So that's just a little tip. Moving on to the next site, we have Google. Google has become really just like the search engine of the century. I think it's the one that most of us are familiar with. Googling is a verb now. It used to just be a site and a company, and now it's become a verb. So that goes to tell you how popular it is. And one really cool thing about Google is that you can go and Google jobs near me. And if you do that, you actually get this little blue jobs window. And from there, you can go ahead and utilize the date posted, um, filter, and filter for the most recent job openings. If you have your location on the computer, it's going to pop up the jobs that are closest to you. You can even type in other things like teen jobs near me, or companies hiring minors near me, or things of that sort. And you're going to get the option to filter by industry. You're going to get the option to filter by date posted, and also by type of a position. So either full-time or part-time and so forth. So you'll see the jobs, you'll be able to save any and even set alerts. So Google is a good option for looking for job postings and applying to jobs. All right, moving on to the next site, Facebook. Facebook, we are all familiar with Facebook. It is a social networking site, but it also has different types of groups. And Facebook has a job site, and job groups such as the ones that we see here, Sacramento Sac Jobs, and also Sacramento Area Real Jobs, that can be helpful in finding work. These are Facebook pages and Facebook groups that, for the most part, are set to private to ensure it is employer friendly, and to ensure that only the demographic that is seeking these postings has access to it. So please, feel free to go online. If you are a minor, make sure that you're taking the same precautions that you're taking, as you would on the Craigslist site, because it is public. And you are interacting on a public forum. So make sure you take those precautions to not disclose any personal information. Typically, these Facebook pages or Facebook groups typically have members that are hiring managers, or maybe that are employees at businesses, and they make posts with wording such as, "My job is hiring for this. You can apply at our official website here. My job is hiring for this," and so forth. So that is also a site where you can go online and search for job postings. So we're going to go ahead and continue on with these few tips for application submissions. So anytime you actually submit a job application, you want to go ahead and make sure that it is complete, and that it represents you in the best light possible. It is important to follow all the instructions closely and completely. And oftentimes now that applications are online, it's very easy to ensure that you're completing an application fully and that you're following the directions. Well, because oftentimes when we are applying to things online, it doesn't let us progress to the second screen. It doesn't let us continue if we have an error or are missing some information. So that's one positive uh, that has come out of the transition to being fully online. Um, when you are completing an application online, you will need to obviously have your full name, your address, your phone number. If you have a driver's license, or an identification number, you want to go ahead and have that on hand. As I said earlier, given the fact that you guys are teens, this is something definitely that you want to consider and touch in with the adult in your life, touch in with your guardian, with your parent, and say, "Hey, I'm going to be applying for jobs online. How should I disclose my address? Should I do the full listing, or should I just put the city, the state, and the zip code?" Um, I always like to advocate for, the if you are a teen, to go ahead and play it on the safer side and simply disclose the city, the state, and the zip code, um, to give an idea of what part of Sacramento you reside in. But definitely, that's a conversation that is worth having with your parent. Um, and you want to go ahead and also have the information and disclose your educational background. So your highest grade completed. Oftentimes, sometimes applications ask for the school that you attended. They may ask for, what classes you've taken, and maybe what your declared major is, or what your area of study is, if you are in school. You want to go ahead and have previous work history. So, like I said, this is work history or experiences. So it could be something that was paid. It could be volunteer work. This is where you're going to want to note the experiences that you have noted on your resume, and you're going to want to have supervisors' names. Uh, you're going to want to have information if it was a paid experience, information on what your pay was, how often you worked, if you're no longer there, why did you leave? Did you leave because the role ended? Did you leave because it was a limited term opportunity or experience? And so you want to go ahead and note that. Sometimes in applications, I think this is more common when they were paper. You do have the opportunity to talk about awards and memberships. Um, Applications that are online also do allow a section for that, but I think that was a lot more common when we had paper applications. And references. Definitely, I know that online sites do want to have references because managers want to be able to call somebody and really just kind of get a better idea, and then maybe another picture of who you are as a person, who you are as a professional, and what are the skills that you possess and what you would bring to their company or to their organization. So definitely make sure that when you're getting ready to go online and you have these job postings bookmarked and you're ready to hit the start application button on the computer, that you have all this information with you so that you can go ahead and make sure that you're completing the screens with all the information you need, and that you're able to progress through the process until you get that confirmation email or that confirmation screen saying your application has been submitted. We're going to go ahead and take just a quick moment. We have about 5 more minutes left in today's workshop, and then we're going to go ahead and open for questions. I welcome any and all questions. Um, I love interacting with you guys as much as I can. But here we have just some companies listed here that hire teens. So if you are a teenager and you're thinking like, I've really enjoyed this workshop, like I'm ready to get my resume started, I'm ready to edit the resume that I have and get applying for the summer, please take note of these. These are all companies that we have here locally in Sacramento County that hire teens. So you can feel free to take a screenshot right now. Keep in mind that you will be getting this presentation as well. But there are companies, and there are companies here in Sacramento that do hire minors. Keep in mind, the Sacramento Bee recently did, was it the Sacramento Bee or the Sacramento Business Journal? One of the publications recently did a story on particularly the restaurant industry looking to hire workers, um, as the region is opening up, and the retail restaurants and so forth are opening up again. So this might be a good time for you to really schedule some time to submit applications to these businesses. All right. Ooh, this is a little stretched out, and I apologize for that. But once again, you will be getting this presentation. Um, we here at SETA, Sacramento Works, have actually partnered with Gap Inc. Old Navy, and we are running their This Way Onward program. So if you happen to be between the ages of 16 to 24, I invite you to apply to the Old Navy This Way Onward internship program. And so this is an internship program that takes place at all the Old Navy stores here in Sacramento County. And it is a program meant to help youth and young adults, gain different skills. This particularly is an internal recruitment program for the Old Navies in the region. And it is a 12-week program, and you are an intern for those 12 weeks, getting paid at a starting wage of $14 an hour, and you're learning everything about Old Navy and the Old Navy brand, and the different departments found within the Old Navies here in Sacramento County. So this is something that's actually going to be starting in about 2 weeks. So if you have interest in this, please feel free to contact me. I'm going to go ahead and be displaying my contact information on the next slide, and we can go ahead and get started with questions. All right, so this is my contact information. We do have a website. It's called sacramentoworks.org, and you can go on there and check out what other internships we have, in addition to the Old Navy This Way Onward orientation that I just detailed. We have 1 year-long program that is for in-school youth and out-of-school youth, and that's the Sacramento Works for Youth program. We also have a SMUD summer internship program. For those of you guys who are interested in STEM careers, I can get you more information about the SMUD Summer Internship Program for high school students. And then we also have a work experience program for students. So if you want more information on any of those, you can go ahead and visit sacramentoworks.org or email me at jessicamedina@seta.net. I just realized that there was a typo there. I do apologize, everybody. But I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat. It's jessica.medina@seta.net, and that is where you can reach me. All right, I am going to go ahead and open up the chat. If you have any questions about anything that we've covered today, please go ahead and put it in the chat, and I can go ahead and address them before the end of the session. All right, opening up the chat. Meanwhile, questions come in. If they do, if you don't have any questions, that's okay. I did want to go ahead and just let you all know that for the This Way Onward program, we are definitely looking, if you are a young person who lives in the northern part of the county, in North Highlands, Citrus Heights, Antelope, we are definitely hoping that we get interested applicants in those regions of Sacramento, because we have needs in that area. So if you yourself, or you have a cousin or a friend or anybody in those particular neighborhoods, please go ahead and refer them to the program. So in order to participate in this particular program and in our other work experience programs, you do need to be between the ages of 16 and 24 by June 1st. So if you are 15, I definitely would recommend that you go ahead and save my information and you check our site when you do turn 16. Because that is the age at which we're able to pull work permits and get you enrolled in our particular work experience programs. All right, we have another question came into the chat. The question was, if I only have volunteer experience, would I use the functional type resume? So if you only had volunteer experience, you could decide to either use a chronological format resume or the functional type resume. It really is your own personal preference. If you felt that the volunteer experience that you had was all related to the same things, like say, for example, you were an individual who had volunteered as a babysitter, and then you volunteered at the after school program, and then you volunteered at a children's hospital. All those volunteer experiences have to do with children. And so they're related. So you could do it in a chronological one because maybe you did a different volunteer experience every summer, and you can do it like that. But if you had volunteer experiences that were different, so not easily related, like the previous example, you might want to put it in a functional type resume and emphasize the different various skills that you learned from different experiences, and provide more details on those skills rather than the experience. So to answer that question, it really just depends on what you choose to do. You can definitely um, uh, do both and make it a combined resume where you're emphasizing your skills that you utilize in your volunteer experience, and also um, emphasizing the actions that you took while at your volunteer experience. Great question. Great question. Any other questions? Feel free to drop them in the chat. You can either pose the question to everybody or just direct it directly to me. All right. All right, so we have another question. What if the volunteer work I'm doing doesn't really correspond to the job I want? Would I still put it down? The answer is yes, because you always want to put at least one or two experiences on your resume. You needed to have experience on your resume, correct? So what you want to do in the case that you feel that it doesn't correspond, you want to really verify that it doesn't correspond. There's a lot of different skills, especially soft skills. Those are those skills that we use to interact with individuals, and interact with people, that can be used in different types of industries. So, for example, if you want to just try to emphasize the actions as much as possible. So when you volunteer, you are interacting with different sorts of people, correct? So you can go ahead and note that as one of the action phrases at your experience. Interacted in a positive manner with diverse populations. You're going to do that in different industries, whether it's a volunteer experience or a paid role, either at a store, or at an office. You're always going to have to be polite and interact with people from diverse backgrounds. So you definitely can put volunteer work, even if you feel that it's not directly related to a job, and you want to go ahead and emphasize those soft skills that you utilized in that experience. All right, any further questions? Please feel free once again to drop them in the chat box. All righty. Okay, we have a question. Can we join the month of May work skills if we are 15? So for particularly for this one, you do need to be 16 and older. This is a summer program. So if you happen to be on the younger side and you are interested in it, I definitely advise you to take down my phone number. Go ahead and visit our website, bookmark it on your computer so that you'll have it for next summer. We do run a program that's all year round as well. So this one that I'm displaying on the screen is just the one for the summer, but we do have other ones. However, we do need you to be 16 and older, but if you are on the younger side, that's okay. Go ahead and bookmark it, save it so that you can contact us as you near that age. And if you have any further questions, if you're on the younger side and you kind of are looking for some services, you want some one-on-one help with your resume, or you kind of want some one-on-one support in your job search, please go ahead and email me and we can discuss that offline in an email about how I can connect you to that support. Thank you for your question. Any other questions? All right, perfect. All right, well, if there's no more questions, for today. I'm going to go ahead and pass this back to Ricardo with the Sacramento Library, and he'll go ahead and take it from here. And I look forward to seeing you all once again at our next scheduled workshop in the month of May. Go ahead, Ricardo, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you everyone for coming, for joining us today. Big thank you to Sacramento Works and Jessica Medina. So I want to remind you, join us next week, next Tuesday, May 4th at 4 p.m. for part 2, interview preparation skills for teens. I'm going to put the link to the registration there if you haven't already registered. So we invite you also to explore more resources for job and career building skills in our library collection. So for more information also about our teen services, library services, and upcoming programs, visit www.saclibrary.org. For the Sacramento Public Library, thank you very much and be well. Everyone have a great day.